Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're continuing our adventures in Ireland and looking a little bit more at the Book of Kells. We're going to do some photos that I took of an area that specifically outlines the chronology of this book and a lot of historical information that I truly did not know. It should be a fun layout that we're going to put together. Let's check out my workspace and we'll get started. Alright, so this is my workspace for today. You'll recall this is the right side, the right page of the layout just prior to the one we're going to work on today. We started looking at the Book of Kells because we visited Trinity College, where they have a very nice museum for the Book of Kells. We learned a lot of great things. We're mainly just going to use our trimmer today. Not a lot of extra punching or anything like that today. The artistry is going to be in the photos, not in whatever I could do on the page. So I'm not going to worry about that. So we're going to flip this over and I'll set it over here to kind of get to later and scoot this out of the way. Let me just explain real quick some of these photos that I have. So this is one of the pages that was enlarged so we could see it more easily, and they had this on the wall, which was lovely. And as you can see, there is a corresponding portion of the audio guide that explains this in detail. I went through and took closer photos of all of these. So they go in this order, and you can see that they do overlap just a little because they share these center columns. So it's possible that when I put them down in the album, I could make them cross over just a little bit, but they don't meet exactly. So you can see it's a chronology of when they founded the monastery that did this work, and all the way through all of the different history of the process. They talk about the Book of Dima, which I'd never heard of, and the Book of Mulling that were written and decorated in the 8th century. The Vikings first appeared in Ireland in 795. The Book of Kells was written and decorated in 800. 68 monks were killed by Viking raiders in 806. The new monastery of Colm began at Kells in 807. It's just really interesting. The Book of Duro, which I don't know very much about, but I have heard a little bit, but I hesitate to try to tell you because I'll probably get it wrong. That was in 877. The stone church at Kells was leveled in 920. They made a shrine for the Book of Armagh in 937. The Kells were pillaged by the Danes in 946. I mean, this is like a completely different realm for me because I don't really think beyond the 1800s. And this goes back to way, way, way long time ago, right? Near only 563 years beyond Christ being born, which isn't very much. The Book of Kells and the Book of Duro were presented to Trinity College, Dublin by Henry Jones, Bishop of Meath, after 1661. Crazy, huh? Okay, so anyway, we're going to get started on this. I basically have this kind of chalkboard type paper, and I can't really tell you exactly where I got this. It is a CM paper, but I don't remember where it came from. It has this really pretty stripe on the back, and I have inklings that I remember the collection, but I just don't remember what it was called. And then this golden paper with these leaves, which I believe was still part of Our Moments. And so I'm, again, just using up the last of this collection. So tomorrow, our next layout, we will move on to a different collection that I found that I think goes well with these types of photos. The layout we're going to do today is a relatively simple one, as I said before. We are going to create a frame for the right side of the page. We're going to create sort of a matte sort of frame for the left side of the page. So bear with me, okay? This black paper here we're going to cut several times. So we're going to cut 4 3/4 length by 12-inch strips. So we're going to measure 3/4 to the right, and this is already 12 inches wide. Okay, then we're going to cut 2 of them that are 1 inch and 7/8 by 12. Now, if you are familiar with your trimmer, you know that it really only goes to 1 inch and 3/4 on the right hand side. However, if we go all the way to the edge of this trimmer, we will be pretty much at 1 7/8. So I'm just going to do that. It's not critical for my design that it be exactly 1 7/8. So I'm going to just go ahead and go to the edge, since I'm already going that direction, and cut 1 7/8. So 2 of them at 1 7/8. And we are done with our black paper for now, so you can set that aside. We're going to take a piece of this lovely gold paper, and we're going to cut a piece at 1 1/4 by 12. So again, we're going to go this way, 1 1/4, 12. And you can see that I'm cutting this horizontally. It's going to go across the paper or the page horizontally. So I'm making sure that my design is vertical, but I'm cutting horizontal. So my design's actually facing to the right. The top is over here on the right. Then I'm going to cut a piece that's 5 by 12. So I'm going to turn this all the way around and cut a piece that is 5 inches, 5 by 12. So the top now is over here, and we will cut 5 by 12. We are going to cut a piece that will mat this photo, and that looks like it will mat it actually pretty well right there. So I need a piece that is of this that is 4.5 inches wide. That'll give me about 1/4 inch mat all the way around my photo. And actually we're going to be flipping that over. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. My photo kind of disappears on the mat. Maybe we'll flip it over and do this and flip our other paper the other direction. Very interesting. Okay, so I also need to frame this piece right here. So let's measure 2 inches by 4.5. So we're going to cut 2 inches off and cut it at 4.5. All right, there we go. And that will be good for that one. We have this other piece of gold over here, which we're going to use, and I need to cut this into an 8 1/4 by 10.5 piece. Okay, so, and this is 8 1/4 width-wise and 10.5 inches tall. So let me just move my arm out this way. We're going to go 8 1/4 inches across. That will leave us with the largest piece of extra. Then we're going to turn this and cut it at 10.5. All right. Now, in addition to that, I have some pieces left over from the last layout that I've cut into squares, and these pieces are 2 3/8 inch square. So I'm going to take these and just cut them into triangles. So I'm going to cut them on my trimmer. I'm going to place the opposite corners on the cutting line just like that. Hope my paper doesn't shift. Okay, then we're going to just cut through and make 4 corners. All right, let's do some assembly. Those are all the pieces that we need. Leave your corners till the end. We are going to use, we're going to put this piece down here and this piece up here. We need 2 of our black 3/4 inch strips, which will go here and here. And that's kind of looking like maybe I didn't measure properly. Yeah, I didn't measure that very good. Okay, so let's see. I need that to go down by 1 inch. I'm going to take 1 inch off of this piece because we're going to move this down. I didn't measure that very well. So the larger gold piece that we cut, that I had you cut at 5 inches, really needs to be 4 inches. Somehow I did not do my math quite right. So this piece is going to go here. This one will go over here. All right. These photos are on this side. These photos are on this side. These photos are all on this side with the rest of our black strips. Okay. So we'll get to the right side of our layout in just a second. I'm going to move it up there just to kind of simplify things on our desktop. Okay, so for right now, we're going to just take our largest piece of, sorry, I'm second guessing myself and wondering if I messed something up, but I didn't. So this will be just fine. Okay, so we're going to take this and put it right against the jeeping in the center with the lower edge of the paper right at the edge of our page. Just like that. Then we're going to take our black strip and put this down right on top. Go ahead and kind of push the two together so you don't see as much of an edge there. I'm going to turn it around and do the top the same way. So from the center along the jeeping, and then match that top edge of the paper with the top edge of the page. And then again, a black strip, 3/4 of an inch, right along the edge of that. Okay, so here we are, right side up again. And what we need to do is put these in order. And I think I've decided not to overlap them because they don't actually, the photos don't actually match perfectly. So since I can go ahead and put all 3 of these shoulder to shoulder right across my page, that's what I'm going to do. And I have a little bit of a gap where you can see my page at the top and at the bottom. I really didn't intend for there to be a gap, but since there is, I'm just making sure that it's even on the top and the bottom. I mean, I could just tell you that, oh, I meant to do that, but I really didn't mean to do that. I was kind of hoping that it would all meet. But I suppose in order to do that, I would have had to overlap some things. and then I would have been more assured that they matched perfectly. All right, so there are the different sections of this photograph right here. This photograph has all the beautiful artwork that was done by the monks, so of course we have to include all of it. Quote by Leonardo da Vinci: "A good painter is to paint two main things, namely man and the workings of man's mind, and the first is easy and the second is difficult." Painting the workings of man's mind. Just can't even imagine. That just doesn't seem possible. Okay, so there we've got our first page. Now we're going to do the right side of the page. I'm going to first take these two 3/4 length strips and I'm going to place them at the top and the bottom, starting from the center just like we always do, and working my way out. There's one. All right, then we're going to take these larger pieces, and these are going to go down the outer edges. So we're just going to go ahead and put this right up against the jeeping, overlapping the other piece that we just laid down. Okay, so just like that. And grab the other one over here. And we're going to just lay this one on the ends or on the outside area, right up against the jeeping on the outside of the page, with the edges right at the edge and overlapping that 3/4 piece. Okay. All right, then this piece is going to go in the middle, and this piece is going gold side up, not brown side up. It's kind of what I was going to do on this side, but I wanted to frame my photos in the gold, and because I wanted to frame these in gold, if this had been gold, then it would have not made any sense at all. So this is going to have a tiny little bit of a gap. So one thing that I didn't plan on as I was designing this is the fact that sometimes as we're cutting, we inadvertently measure on the outside of the line or the inside of the line. I try to be consistent with that, but as I can see by my layout, I am not consistent. So I can just sort of give myself a frame that goes all the way around. That sort of makes up for the fact that I measured incorrectly. Completely my responsibility, or my fault, as it were. Okay, so we are going to add 3 main portraits, or photos of portraits, to our gold frame that we've created here. And then I have a couple of extra pieces that are going to go on that sort of explain. Okay, so this is the portrait of Christ that is famous for being a part of the Book of Kells. We're going to put the edges of our photos right together. We're going to have about 1/4 inch frame around the edge. Okay, so there's our 3 main focus points. This picture down here is of the 4 Gospels. So each one of these is meant to symbolize Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And this information here has a little bit of an explanation of that. And the pink doesn't really go along with go with this very well, but I'm just choosing to ignore the pink. Hopefully it won't detract from this layout too terribly much. I don't know exactly why it turned out pink. I don't remember if it was pink, but so now we've got a little bit of an explanation. Okay, and we have a couple of smaller areas where we can add embellishments. Speaking of embellishments, remember those corners that we cut? These corners are going to act sort of like these corners for our layout as a whole, I think. So this is my intention, was to put them in the corners like this, even though the layout itself is doesn't necessarily have corners. If we do like this and like this, kind of brings the layout more together. So the only other thing we could do is only put them over here on this side. But I kind of think I want them on both sides so that it pulls us in and reminds us that these are meant to be together and to complement each other. I like that better. Okay, so some repositionable adhesive for my triangle, and then this is going to go about 2/3 of an inch from the upper and the side, the lower and the side edge of the layout. And I'm just adding this upper corner. Remember, 3/8 of an inch from the top and the outer edge there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So again, 3/8 of an inch. I'm just eyeballing it. It doesn't have to be exact. And same thing up here. Okay, now we're just going to grab some stickers to embellish this page. Before I get into clusters though, I wanted to point out this particular collection, the Our Moments collection, has its own little photo corners. These are photo safe, and if you want to use these, you can. And I thought it might be a fun thing to include them on these photos somehow, but I don't want to cover up any artwork, so bear with me just a second. I'm gonna just play with these for a minute and see what we can do, and if I can manage to get these on here without losing too much of what we want to see in the pictures, because the pictures are the most important part, right? Right. So, but I really like the way that these corners accent the corners in this photo and the corners in this photo. I think that's cool. So hopefully you'll think it's cool too. I've got 4 more. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and use them here on my Da Vinci quote. Not all collections come with cool corners like this, so it's fun to be able to use them. Okay, so there we've got that. Now I also thought it would be fun, many of the things in this collection are of course pointing to ancestry or personal memories of things. We don't have any personal memories of these things, but we do have important biblical things that we should remember, and the efforts of these noblemen to, and they weren't noblemen, they were monks, but they were noble in the eyes of God, I would think, for their efforts in beautifying the Lord's scriptures. So I'm going to use always remember the past, because I think that's important. And these stickers are very narrow, as you can see. So I'm not going to worry about foam squares or anything like that. But the question is, I don't have a lot of choices for embellishing. So where could we put this where it will make the most accent, the most splash? Maybe I can add a leaf to give it a little more substance and make it a little easier for me to place it down, because it's kind of having a hard time staying together because it's so narrow. So we'll do like that. And maybe, since I gave it a gold leaf, we'll put this up here kind of as our title. Maybe we'll make it attached to the corner, and then it can kind of all be just happy there in the corner, right? And it picks up the gold from here and brings it up there into that corner. Then there was also this cute one that says "Be Beautiful," which is a cute little stamp, I thought. And we can combine that with some other leaves. And maybe even a bee. They used a lot of natural ingredients to create the pigments that they used in this. And so we're going to be talking about that in future layouts. I have some photographs of all the natural elements that they used to create the layouts, to create the pages and do all of the drawings that they did. So I think we'll put that one right there. And I'm not sure if I really have much else that I could use. We could use this blue leaf and add, here's a green leaf, or yellow, kind of goldish leaf. And we can add some hearts, or this bee. Oh, there's a couple of bees we could add. Tiny little bees. Could put one right there, and maybe one over this way. Like that. And I'll put this guy kind of here. think that will work. I'm happy with that anyway. And I think there's a lot to see in the art chronology here. So I think that will be just fine for these 2 pages. I hope this has been a layout that would inspire you and give you some ideas for your own albums. And until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day.